Hello everybody, this is my first ASMR video. I'm just going to be doing a basic reading. I didn't want anything too complex, but I wanted something that would be soothing and something worth watching. And I may mess up here and there, but just bear with me. And also we'll get in some turning pages, and so today I'll be reading a book that I just recently checked out, and it's about the romantic artist JMWTurner, and the book is called The World of Turner. So, here we go. Chapter 1. An eccentric in the establishment. The old man's request was a strange one. Aboard the steamboat Ariel, out of Harwich, preparations were afoot for a bad storm that was brewing. The passenger was persistent. Others might want to go below. He wanted to be lashed to a spar on deck. He was a little man, almost gnome-like, and plainly battered by time, but his sharp grey eyes were impelling on the crew in the English tradition of tolerance and eccentricity, compiled with his wish. Tied to his perilous post for 4 hours, Joseph Lord William Turner, England's leading painter, absorbed and observed the onslaught of elements. As you saw, his name was Joseph, not John. Turner was not much given to talk, and people only learned of his exploit through the medium in which he expressed himself best. When the Royal Academy opened its annual exhibition in London in May of 1842, just after his 67th birthday, he displayed his snowstorm with a terse note about the experience on which it was based. The painting exudes power. It was some power of the forces that inspired it, the slashing power of the hand that fashioned it. The ship is barely discernible in the savage whirl around it, yet the viewer feels himself on board, not watching the storm, but enjoying it. As with many of Turner's unruly evocations of nature's moods, this work is better appreciated today than it was in its own era. His contemporaries perceived his gifts, but tended to be uneasy when he exercised them to the fullest. At such times he seemed too wild, too careless of established canons of art. The reviewer who downed the snowstorm as soapsuds and whitewash spoke for most of his colleagues. Turner's retort was spirited. What would they have, he asked his champion, John Ruskin. I wonder what they think the sea is like. I wish they'd been in it. In a calmer moment he recalled, I did not expect to escape, but I felt bound to record it if I did. The dedication implicit in these words helps him explain in part the homage Turner has begun to receive more than a century after his death. The seascapes and landscapes on which his greatness rests represents a branch of art that has long since become outmoded. But whatever the subject matter or lack of it, the modern artist believes, above all, in the need for commitment. Theme and style matter less than the actual experience of painting it itself. The sensations that incite and accompany it matter as much as the visible result. Many decades before this aesthetic was articulated, Turner understood and acted upon it. In other fundamental respects too, today's artists find a kindred spirit in Turner. Living in an age in which classic formulas of painting still prevailed, he used or ignored them at will. Many of his works follow traditional rules of clarity, balance, mass, and perspective. But in his greatest achievements, Turner abandoned these precepts, intuitively pursuing paths that were to become major highways to modern art. He saw colour for its own resplendent sake rather than as a means of describing objects. He saw light as a radiant entity rather than a vehicle of dramatic effect. He often made a shambles of form, dissolving recognizable realities in a haze of indistinctness, or drowning them in a torrent of abstraction. Pictures of nothing, and very like the essayist William Hazlitt labeled such Turnerian efforts. Many thought Turner mad, others denounced what they saw on his canvases as blots and blotches, vulgar colours laid on, as if with a trowel instead of a brush. To 20th century painters, this litany sounds an all too familiar refrain. It only confirms our view of Turner as an artist miraculously ahead of his time. Many pictures within his book for his works. It's very interesting. He remains within the Romantic era. However, many of his paintings, not necessarily his drawings, but his paintings, resemble greatly the works of the Impressionistic artists. But he was never labelled as an Impressionist, but I certainly will label him as one. He's very similar, especially when he begins to truly blur lines in his landscapes, and everything is just a haze, is what it appears as. Just a wash of colour, of many colours. It's quite beautiful. I know I'm not doing an actual video, I'm just doing an audio recording. I just wanted to test out video and just see the response that it gets. I'm not quite sure if I'm relaxing myself, but I don't know. Well, I'll have to see everybody reacts to this. And I have many ideas for different ASMR videos. But I'd also like to see what ideas you may have. So just let me know, and I hope you have been relaxed. So thank you.